Hey, what's going on, Black Comic Lords? It's your boy Paul. We're here with another Paul's Picks for the week of June 8th and June 9th. They're the new comic book days. Let's get to it. In no particular order. First book we got is Future State Gotham number 2. Now, this is a story that's basically continuing Future State, the storyline that we had several months ago. The next Batman's been accused of horrendous crimes. The Red Hood has apparently switched sides, but he's kind of a double agent, working with the Peacekeeper One to try and capture and kill the next Batman. But he's working both sides. But he's kind of alienated the rest of the Bat family at the same time. It's been a very interesting book. The art has been really good. It's black and white, which normally I don't really go for, but the shading and the use of color, the use of the lines on this make it as such that you don't really miss not having it be color. I recommend that book. After that, there's two covers. There's a cover A, cover B. The covers on this book have been spectacular. You can't go wrong with either one. That cover A with him on the bike that's just dope. It's a work of art. But you should definitely check that one out. Next, Far Sector number 12, final chapter of the Far Sector book. Sojourner Mullen is making her strides now in Green Lantern. I'm hoping with this Far Sector 12 you kind of have a lead-in between what happens when Sojourner Mullen was out in this far reach of space, and she eventually comes over to Oa after the events that happened there with the destruction of the Green Lantern headquarters, so to speak. So I'm hoping to bridge that gap. But it's been a really incredible run. She's a great character. I'm really looking forward to seeing her up on the screen someday. And N.K. Jemisin is about to be the modern day Octavia Butler. Just for real. Detective Comics 1037. This one kind of slept under the radar, honestly. The reason I threw this in the mix is because of the writer. They brought in a special guest writer on this issue. They brought in John Ridley. Now, as you know, John Ridley did the other history of the DC Universe. He also did the Next State Batman. The fact that he wrote a story in Future State for the next Batman. In this particular story, he's going to be focusing on Lucius Fox. So they bring in, this book already has its own writer. They bring in John Ridley to write a story about Lucius Fox. John Ridley has a new book coming out in a few months in the fall, I Am Batman, with the next Batman, Tim Fox, Jace Fox. So they bring him in to talk about Lucius Fox and his introduction to the world of Batman. It sounds like it might be kind of a flashback issue. Either way, I'm here for it. There's a cover A and a cover B. Both of them are good. Just pick one. Next up, staying within the Batman family, we got Batman Detective number 3. Now this is Bruce Wayne, but this is broke Bruce Wayne. This is broke Batman. And broke Batman has been very interesting Batman. He's been very resourceful. He travels over to London to investigate some things going on there. There's some ties going on with one of his mentors, Henry Ducard. He actually takes on a sidekick of the London Knight. Her name is Squire, a young black girl. And what's also interesting is it appears as if the main villain in this book, Equilibrium, is also a black woman, which you don't get too many black female villains, particularly in Batman. So I thought that was kind of cool. There's cover A, cover B. I'll probably go with cover B because of Squire being on the cover with Batman. After that, we've got the sequel to Black, White. Now, look, if you're a fan of the book Black and you want to see what happens next, because from what I understand, this might be sort of the same book from the other side's perspective. This book has a very low print run. So I highly encourage you, if you're interested in getting it, that you contact your LCS ahead of time, let them know you want it, and reserve you a copy. There's only 25 copies each, 2,500 copies of each one of these issues, 1 through 4 of White. So you need to be very proactive if you actually want to secure a copy without having to pay astronomical prices in the secondary market. And from White, we go to my boys at Black Cotton. Brian Hawkins, Patrick Foreman, shout out to you guys. It was a pleasure interviewing them a few weeks ago. Hopefully we'll do it again for reviewing what happened in Black Cotton 3. Looking forward to it. Black Cotton 2 ended with not so much a cliffhanger as much as a type of ending. So we'll hopefully see what happens next. I love in issue 2 seeing the interplay between the Cottons and seeing the family dynamic, and I'm hoping that we'll get to see more of that and maybe see it from the other side in this next coming issue. We know the next couple issues are going to be very pivotal for revealing a lot of things about this universe, and I'm all here for it. Next, we have Eve. The sequel to Eve #1, Eve #2 comes out this week. There are 2 covers coming out for this book. Both of them are fire. I mean, they're just beautiful works of art. You can't go wrong with either one, honestly. For those who are maybe still be trying to catch up, Eve is kind of taking place in a future dystopian world. This young girl's out there by herself. She has a robotic companion along the way, and this is just going to find out what's happened in that world and finding out what happened to her parents, her father. So I'm really looking forward to this next one. Next, we have the final chapter for the book Ant. The last issue of Ant came out in 14 years ago. So this is the final chapter being released. What's interesting is Mario Gully, who is the creator of Ant. As I said, his last issue was in issue 11 14 years ago. Eric Larson's picking up the ball on this, and he's starting a new chapter, a new run of that book in the next few months. So this will probably be a good pickup, a good lead-in if you're interested in continuing with that story. There's 2 covers. Just pick one, whichever one you like. I'd probably go with cover 1, cover A. Next up, we got Strange Academy 11. Strange Academy is a book that has just been consistently underrated and undervalued. But you can tell, well, I shouldn't say that. Not underrated, undervalued as much as not really talked about a lot. But try and find a bunch of back issues on Strange Academy. It's not that easy. Its followers are strong and they realize what a good story it is. It very much reminds me of that feel that you had when you first read New Mutants or Teen Titans or Young Justice. It's that type of similar vein. But what's interesting is they're dealing with a mystical realm, and they have a group of established characters in the teachers, the faculty of the school. And then the tie-ins with Dr. Voodoo and Dr. Strange really makes for some interesting possibilities with this book. I mean, I think it would be remiss for the Marvel Studios guys to not try and do a Strange Academy television show or movie, for the simple reason is that these are all new characters for the most part, with established characters in the background. And it gives you an open playing field and a realm to be able to explore these characters without a lot of the history behind you weighing you down. And it's just, it's just a good story. So there's a cover A and cover B. Just select which one you like. I kind of like cover B. I thought it was a very nice, well done cover. Our final pick, Paul's final pick, is Heroes Reborn Night Gwen. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. I picked this specifically for my boy Herschel, because Herschel keeps going on about how he loves Nighthawk. I pointed out, a while back that Nighthawk seems to keep getting pushed by Marvel. I don't know why, but he's popping up all over the place. One of the things I'm curious about is whether they may do with Nighthawk the same thing they did with Miles Morales after Secret War, in which Miles Morales was brought into the 616 universe from the 1610 at the end of that crossover series. I have a inkling that may happen with Nighthawk at the end of this Heroes Reborn thing. He may be the last man standing of this crossover event, because he's not from this dimension. It would be interesting to see him continue in hopefully an altered state, because I freaking hate this dude's costume. I wish they could go back to the costume the brother had in his own solo series with the black, looking like one of the Court of Owls soldiers. That's the Nighthawk that I consider Nighthawk. This purple and yellow thing it's not working. But I selected this one for Herschel, specifically Night Gwen, specifically cover B, the Miyazawa variant, where he's basically sort of standing behind Night Gwen. Now that's kind of an interesting thing. Night Gwen is, I guess she's supposed to be some type of sidekick character for him, which is interesting. There was in last week's issue, or 2 weeks ago, there was an issue regarding the Young Squadron with Miles Morales trying to be the next Falcon. Falcon, as we saw in last week's issue in Heroes Reborn, had died. He was a sidekick for Nighthawk and died years ago. And Nighthawk rejected Miles Morales as being the new Falcon. But in the 616 comics, Gwen and Miles have had some type of romantic undertones. I'm curious to see how they're going to handle potentially making Gwen a sidekick when he rejected Miles. Like, what's up with that? I don't know, but I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that. So that's it. Those are the Paul's picks for the week of June 8th, June 9th. Good luck hunting your books down.